Here's your AIHL Skaters Network recap for Saturday, the 20th of June, 2026. Played fresh off of some off-ice drama, the Brisbane Lightning played host to the Melbourne Mustangs in Queensland in a doubleheader weekend, and it was all guns blazing from the drop of the puck. Luka Wimet scoring the first goal just 90 seconds in.
A setup was gorgeous.
The Lightning wouldn't let up, with Alex Campbell's team-leading 21st goal of the season making it 2-0. Anthony Barnes then made it 3-0 with his career-best 6th goal of the year. The Lightning all over the Victorians after 20 minutes.
Barnes is on a heater.
The intermission woke the Mustangs up, with Brodie Crane scoring under a minute into the restart. Mustangs captain Scott Timmins added his 12th of the season to make it 3-2 after 2 periods, with Melbourne clawing their way back into the game.
Timmins.
However, the third period was one for the books. A 4-goal onslaught for the Lightning began with Tanner Hops, Zach Shankar and Grant Hebert scoring within 4 minutes for a 6-2 lead. Hops added a shorty with 6:11 to play, and it looked like the game was home and hose for the hosts. However, the Mustangs nearly pulled off a miracle comeback with 4 unanswered goals in the final 5 minutes, falling short of forcing overtime, the Lightning holding on for a 7-6 win. The Central Coast Rhinos travelled up to face the Newcastle North Stars in the latest instalment of the M1 Derby for season 2026. The nearly scoreless first period resulted in a late power play goal to Denis Bouchard, continuing his run as the AIHL points leader.
Scores! Rhinos up 1-0.
Newcastle turned the tide in the second period. Yevgeny Skachkov with his 17th goal on the power play.
That one goal can make such a difference.
Santeri Harala added another with the extra skater. Just 3 minutes later, the North Stars began to run away with it in the third period. First, it was Riley Klugerman's turn to score, then Wahib Darges. However, Raphael Bastille scored twice in 4 minutes to make it 4-3. Then Tyler Kabara tied things up with 5 minutes remaining.
Picks up the scraps and puts it away, and this time, Kabara, we got a 4-all game.
Skachkov would come to the rescue for Newcastle, connecting with Aziz Bazir late.
Skachkov finds a hole.
And then completing the hat-trick with an empty net goal to seal a 6-4 Newcastle win.
Capitalised on that so fast.
The AIHL made its ESPN regular season debut at a sold-out Macquarie ice rink on Saturday night in the third Battle of Sydney for 2026. Nick Seitz opened the scoring for the Bears just over a minute in.
Nick Seitz just continues to roll along with the goals.
Lucas Herman added his 13th goal of the season for a 2-0 Bears lead.
Strong forecheck, being able to trap it in the zone and get that offensive zone face-off. They get rewarded.
It was short-lived, however, as Cale Costa brought the Dogs back within one with 9:29 remaining. The second period started in identical fashion to the first, with Seitz scoring again.
Tic-tac-toe, power play goal for the Bears.
Seitz completing the hat-trick on the power play before the end of the second.
The Bears have scored another power play goal.
The Ice Dogs were down but not out coming into the third. Costa started the fight back 40 seconds in. He was backed up by Ivan Kuleshov just a minute later. Daniel Chen's 4th of the year pulled the Ice Dogs back within one as the Dogs scored 3 in 3 minutes. However, the Red and White would be the victors on this occasion, and the Bears taking the third derby at Macquarie for the year. The Perth Thunder made their first ever trip to the AIS Arena to face the Canberra Brave on Saturday, having missed out in 2025. The second best team in the league was eager to continue their pursuit of top spot after a week off, while the Brave were looking to continue their climb up the standings. An even first period was finally broken by the Braves' Peter Bates.
Bates off the misfire. He puts it away, but that was...
Bailey Kubara made it 2-0 Brave before Jake Ratcliffe continued his strong season with his 9th goal of the year to make it 3-0 Canberra.
Just gives a pass to Ratcliffe, and he has all the time in the world to parry that.
Things went from bad to worse for the visitors, not only being outshot 21-15 through 2 periods, but continuing to be outscored. Bray Crowder extending the lead on the power play.
Oh, Bray Crowder.
Crowder makes it 4-0.
Bates added another on the man advantage just before the second intermission for a 5-0 Canberra lead. And that's essentially where it would end. The Braves slowed the game down in the third, and despite a late consolation goal to Peter Hrahorchek, the hosts running out winners 5-1 in front of another sellout crowd at AIS. The Melbourne Ice and Adelaide Adrenaline faced off at the Adelaide Ice Arena on Saturday night. The Ice keen to get their title defence back on track. The Adrenaline eager to get their first win over the Ice since May of 2015. The tense opening period saw no scoring between the two teams despite their chances. Some stellar goaltending from Cale Dolan and Tatsu Ishida keeping the score sheets clean. The second got off to a great start with Julian Friedrich opening the scoring for the home side.
What a finish!
An even second period would finally end with an even scoreline as Tyrone Bronte struck on the power play for the visitors 21 seconds before the intermission.
Yeah, that was nice puck movement.
Friedrich would strike again for Adelaide, this time on the power play to pull his team in front.
Goal is just as pretty as any combination play.
The Ice got desperate in the final frame, Dolan throwing his hat in the ring for the save of the season with this effort.
What a save!
Colby Johnson would extend the Adrenaline's lead with just 2 minutes remaining. Johnny Alonzo's last-minute goal for Melbourne was not enough in the end. The Adrenaline getting their first win over the Ice since May of 2015 and their first regulation win of the 2026 season. The Canberra Brave were hoping to seal a vital 6 points in their double-header over the Perth Thunder at the weekend. The Thunder had other ideas. Riley Langell opened the account for Perth early in the first.
Face-off win. Woodman puts it on the net.
The Brave would fire back shortly after through Bray Crowder on the power play, followed up by Lachlan Famey giving Canberra the lead.
Goal, Lachlan Famey.
However, the Thunder closed out the period on top 3-2 thanks to goals from the Finnish connection of Henry Olvinen and Jani Kluskeri. Peter Krehorchek's 14th goal of the season was followed up with this effort from Yu Hikosaka.
Hikosaka who just buries it.
Frustrations boiling over as Langell and Tommy Stevens dropped the gloves towards the end of the second.
Stephen ends up on top.
Krehorchek and Kluskeri adding insult to injury with another goal each for a 7-3 Perth lead at the final change. Casey Gugabrara grabbed a late consolation goal for Canberra, only for Felix Plouffe to make it short of it for Perth with an 8-4 win and 3 of a possible 6 points. The Mustangs and Lightning met for the second time this weekend at Boondall Ice Rink on Sunday afternoon. Brodie Crane got the Mustangs on the board less than 30 seconds into the game.
The two guys we talked about.
The rest of the first period turned into the Tanner Hops versus Melbourne show. Hops tying the game before David Gaeta and Joey Hughes put Melbourne in front before the Brisbane leading point scorer brought his team back within 1 at the break.
Goal nonetheless, absolute melee in front.
The Mustangs then piled on 5 goals in the second period, Scott Timmins with a pair and Brodie Lindell adding another in his return to the Mustangs lineup. Crane would complete his hat-trick by scoring the opening goal of the third.
Wow, the onslaught continues.
A response from Brisbane pulled the game back to 9-6 in the third period, with Hops completing a hat-trick of his own, but it was too late for the black and silver. The orange and black heading back to Victoria with 3 of a possible 6 points and some much-needed momentum with a 10-6 win. The Sydney Bears and Central Coast Rhinos met for the first time in 2026 at Era Ice Arena on Sunday, and it didn't take long for Sydney to get going. Lucas Herman tallying inside a minute.
Managing to find just a microscopic crack.
Danique Bouchard responded for Central Coast 7 minutes later to tie the game. Before teammate Sangho Bay gave them the lead. Not to be outdone, Finn Withy grabbed his 5th goal of the season to send the game into the first intermission, tied up at 2-2. A fast-paced second period saw the Bears outshoot the Rhinos 17-9. Bouchard was the first to convert to restore the Rhinos' lead.
Bouchard with his second of the evening, a rocket from...
However, the Nick Sight show was just beginning. The Sydney forward tying the game with 8 minutes remaining in the second.
Nick Sights makes no mistake tying things up.
Sights then gave the Bears the go-ahead goal midway through the third before completing his hat-trick with an empty netter in the final minute to secure a 6-point weekend for the Bears and equal third place on the AIHL ladder. The North Stars and Dogs met again for the second time in 2 weeks. The Dogs off to a flyer with Daniel Chen's 5th of the year.
They had Trinker all at sea.
Wahid Dargay and Yevgeny Skashkov responded for Newcastle for a 2-1 lead at the first change. Dogged determination from Sydney paid off in the second period. Dmitry Kuleshov tying the game for the home team on the power play just 3 minutes in before giving his team the lead moments later.
Here's Dmitry Kuleshov off to the races.
Newcastle matched Sydney on the power play with 2 goals of their own. Santeri Harala and Skachkov again wrestling a 4-3 advantage back for the blue, red and white. And it would be Newcastle who would hold on to the advantage for the rest of the game. Dargay's second of the night and another from Francis Drolet would put the finishing touch on a 6-point weekend for the North Stars, running out 6-3 winners and remaining on top of the AIHL ladder. Fresh off their upset win over the Melbourne Ice the previous evening, the Adelaide Adrenaline were keen to make another statement over their traditional rivals, and it looked like that statement was about to be made. Austin Pickford tallied for Adelaide to give them the lead on the power play.
Yeah, great finish. Nice little shot from Pickford there, down on the knee.
Colby Johnson made it 2-0 Adelaide just minutes later.
Scores!
The Adrenaline now feeling confident they could put the Ice away 2 nights in a row. Jed Lake started the fight back in the second period with his 15th goal of the season.
Jed Lake pounds one home, and it's a 2-1 game.
With help from both Matt Caruana and Colton Schindel, the Ice ahead 3-2 at the final change. Lake added a short-handed goal midway through the final 20 to give his team a 2-goal lead. The Ice didn't let up from there as Caruana added another and Schindel completed a hat-trick of his own. The Ice scoring 7 straight unanswered goals to run out 7-3 winners and keep their title defence on track at the halfway mark of season 2026. As we take a look at the AIHL ladder for Week 10, the North Stars on top on 35 points, the Thunder in second, the Dogs and Bears tied for equal third place, with the Mustangs and Brave rounding out the top 6. I'm Steve White, and this is the AIHL on ESPN.